My boss took credit for my work, so I got him fired. My name is Sam, and I used to work as a senior developer in a mid-sized IT firm. I love my job and put my heart and soul into every project I worked on. My colleagues respected me, and my clients appreciated my dedication. But there was one problem: my boss, Richard. Richard was the kind of boss who thrived on making employees' lives miserable. He would take credit for others' work, belittle people in meetings, and demand overtime without compensation. He had a habit of micromanaging, constantly breathing down everyone's necks and making last-minute changes just to assert dominance. No matter how much effort we put in, it was never enough for him. At first, I tried to keep my head down and focus on my work. But things escalated when Richard started targeting me specifically. He began assigning me impossible deadlines, removing my name from projects I had completed, and even falsely blaming me for mistakes that weren't mine. I remember one particular incident that really pushed me over the edge. Our team had been working on a high-profile project for months. We pulled all-nighters, sacrificed weekends, and made countless revisions to meet the client's needs. The day before the final presentation, Richard called me into his office and casually told me that he had reassigned the project to someone else, one of his favorite employees. I was dumbfounded. "I appreciate your efforts, Sam, but we need a fresh perspective on this," he said with a smug grin. "Don't take it personally." I walked out of his office fuming. I had spent months of my life on this project, and just like that, it was taken away from me. The worst part? When the presentation happened, Richard took all the credit in front of the CEO and higher-ups. He didn't even mention my name. That night, I sat at home staring at my laptop screen, replaying the scene in my head. That was the moment I decided I wasn't going to let this slide. If Richard wanted to play dirty, I was more than ready to beat him at his own game. But I knew direct confrontation wouldn't work. Richard was too powerful, too well-connected. If I made any accusations without solid proof, it would be my job on the line, not his. So I had to be strategic. Over the years, I had observed that Richard had a major weakness. He was greedy and careless when it came to company policies. He frequently manipulated budgets, mishandled finances, and used company resources for personal gain. So I started collecting evidence. Every email, every fake budget approval, and every fraudulent report he submitted, I documented everything. I also managed to find records of him pressuring employees to work overtime without pay, which was a direct violation of labor laws. Slowly but surely, I built a case against him, but I wasn't done yet. I knew that exposing him internally might not be enough. HR had always turned a blind eye to his behavior, and there was no guarantee they would act. So I decided to take things a step further. I anonymously tipped off HR and the company's higher-ups. But I didn't stop there. I also sent the information to a few investigative journalists who specialized in exposing corporate fraud. As expected, HR initially tried to sweep the issue under the rug. After all, Richard was in a high position, and they didn't want a scandal. But when the journalists started sniffing around and threatening to publish an expose on corruption within the company, the management had no choice but to take action. One morning, Richard walked into the office like he always did, full of arrogance and confidence. But within an hour, he was called into a meeting with the company's legal team. Panic spread through the office as rumors started flying. By lunchtime, Richard was escorted out of the building by security. The official reason given was serious violations of company policies. But everyone knew the truth. In the following weeks, the company issued an internal audit, which revealed even more of Richard's wrongdoings. He was blacklisted from the industry, his reputation ruined beyond repair. Meanwhile, the employees who had suffered under his tyranny finally breathed a sigh of relief. I quietly left the company a few months later with a hefty offer from a competitor, one that recognized my true worth. Richard tried to rebuild his career, but in the digital age, scandals never truly disappear. Every time he applied for a new position, the records of his unethical behavior surfaced, ensuring that he never found a stable job again. The same power he used to destroy others was now his downfall. With Richard gone, the work environment at the company drastically improved. Employees who had been silent for years started speaking up about their experiences. The company brought in new policies to prevent such abuses from happening again. My colleagues, who once lived in fear of Richard's wrath, now thrived in a healthier, more supportive workplace. As for me, I moved on to a new company where my efforts were genuinely valued. I excelled in my career, but more importantly, I learned the power of standing up against injustice in the right way. I didn't need to scream. I didn't need to fight. I just needed to be smarter than the person trying to bring me down.